Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Smash JT. For those of you who are familiar with the channel, you probably already know that I've gotten pretty used to trashing retro video game consoles when they try to breathe new life into them, like what the CD originally tried to do, like what Atari is trying to do with the Atari VCS, even though we all know that's probably not going to happen. But now there's another console coming out. This time, it's Intellivision. Intellivision with the Intellivision Amico. And what do we think about this system? Well, it's going to do a lot of things quite differently than what we've seen in the past. And a lot of people are looking at this like it may be the Ouya Tuya. People have reached out to me and said, Jeff, we want to hear your opinion on this, what you think about it, and why we feel like it's going to be something that we should buy or not. And I guess I'll make a video on it, but I was trying my best to avoid being overly negative about the video game industry because unfortunately it feels like that's the direction it seems to be going. Every day that goes by, more and more companies are trying to steal money out of your pockets without getting the point across of why they're actually doing it. And what I mean by that is, who is the target audience for the device or game you're trying to sell? And in this case, the Intellivision Amico, I'm having a lot of trouble trying to figure out who that is.
JT.
Oh, you're just hating on this because that's what's trendy to do and all the other YouTubers are hating on it for the clicks, and that's why you're doing it too.
Look, to start this off, I'm all for it to be successful. If the Intellivision Amico can somehow find a way to breathe life into the retro market and be successful, more power to it. But being someone who's a veteran of the video game industry and seeing this kind of thing happen over and over again every year that goes by, why I feel like it's not going to be successful? There's no reason for people to take the dive and buy this. And that hurts to say because I kind of want it to be something cool, but there's no need for it in the modern era. Let's talk about what this console actually comes with. And a lot of this information I'm getting from a great article written over at Reset Terra, and I'm going to link this in the description below. But for those of you who are not familiar, the controllers fit inside the console, use wireless charging, it has optional interactive lighting, makes the console feel alive. And the controllers themselves have a 3.5-inch 3x2 touchscreen on them. 21st century 2D chip and architecture, focusing strictly on 2D tech and games. They don't want the 2D development to be hard like on the PS4 and Xbox due to them being 3D focused machines. And it will do 2D work that the PS4 and Xbox One or even the PS5 can't achieve because of the 2D first development focus. And that's something I definitely want to touch on in more detail later on in this video because wow, there's a lot to cover with just that bullet point right there. Hundreds of millions of sprites on their dev hardware. Up to 8 Bluetooth controllers will work with the console, and you can also use a free phone app as well to control the games with your phone. Games will be rated anywhere from E to E10. There will be no violent games permitted on the console. The system will be a parents want to buy type of console. And when did the quantity take over the quality? No ports allowed on this console. That's something we're going to dive into a little bit further as well. Keeping the previously announced 7 out of 10 plus requirements. I'm not really sure how they're going to be able to do that, but okay. Remaking Atari and iMagic games will be exclusive to the Amico. All games will be $2.99 to $7.99, download only for that price. There will be physical special edition prints, disc-based, for a premium $30 price tag on a game-by-game basis. They will be paying developers to make games for the Amico. There will be zero financial risk for developers as accepted pitches will be funded by Intellivision. Costs will come from future royalties. And dev kits will be available next summer as this console will be debuting on October 10th of 2020. So about 2 years from the making of this video, this console is scheduled for release. So yeah, there's a lot to cover with this. First off, let's circle back to the whole target audience thing. That's what I keep getting caught up on. Who is this for? Because it says it's for the parents, people who want to buy something that they can play it with their kids and have some nostalgia for. But when I look at this console and myself, who is a parent and likes video games, I say, Why would you limit it to just up to rated 10 games? Maybe I want to play something beyond that at some point and have some sort of system architecture in place on the software that doesn't let kids play these games unless you allow them to, or something like that. But just saying the games will be rated at a max of E10 plus, that really shrinks the target audience down to a very casual fan base. And on the topic of a casual fan base, not many people out there are going to want to drop $150 to $180 on a console for casual gameplay. Because let's be real here, taking a step back, the casual gamers out there already have a Wii, and that can do everything they want. If they wanted to get a new age system to do even more than that, they probably already own a PS4 or, in a small minority, an Xbox One. With that taken into account, why would they want to buy an Intellivision Amico? What is it about this console that would draw them to it? Exclusive games. Pretty sure you can get exclusive games on the PS4, Xbox One, and the Nintendo Switch. And yes, I know, jokes aside with the Xbox One, they still have exclusives if you count the PC. My point being, most people who want to play video games already own a console. And this new console adds very little incentive to wanting to buy it and put it into your living room for party nights. You can already do Jackbox party games with your phone on any of the major publisher game systems right now. What would you want to buy a separate game console just to have a party night with friends? That's a very, very, very niche audience. And furthermore, they say the game console comes with Intellivision games pre-installed with them. It's $150 for this console for basically what amounts to something that plays Intellivision games. And people might say, well, I want to relive the past of my Intellivision games because I was one of those kids that grew up with Intellivision instead of Atari. Well, let me tell you guys about something that already exists. Intellivision Lives, made by Crave Entertainment. Over 60 games in this compilation, and it's on the GameCube, the PS2, tons of other consoles. It's on the Xbox. It's everywhere. And if you want to get it on eBay used, it's $6. You want to buy it new, it's about $15. Brand new. And people might say, well, I don't have those other game consoles, those older things. You can buy a PS2 for like $20 to $50 depending on where you look for it, or a GameCube for around $40 to $50 with controllers. So for somebody to want to sell a console with no games that have been announced yet, saying that there are no ports, these games are going to be all original titles, why would you buy it? What incentive is there? You can already go out and buy a PS4, Xbox One, or Nintendo Switch for relatively similar pricing. Was this the same issue that happened with the Atari VCS, where they're selling it for like $300? And I was like, who's gonna buy this? What is the target market for it? It's way too much money for what it's going to be able to do. And while Tommy Tallarico, the guy behind making the system, from what I understand, is an awesome guy. I've never met him personally, but all the interviews I've seen, all the conversations he's ever had with people, seems like a very down-to-earth, legit person, and I wish him nothing but the best with this console launch. But with that being said, it just seems crazy to me. Honestly, if you were going to tell me that this was announced on April 1st, it would be a joke. That is plain and simple. If this was April 1st and they played this trailer for you, how many people out there would really think this was serious? And that's scary to think about. If something strikes you as an April Fool's joke when you hear about it, that doesn't really bode well for its future prospects. Now, on to a couple of the bullet points that I talked about earlier as far as what this thing's gonna be able to do. $3 to $8 for downloadable original unique games on the system. In the age we're living in right now, that's a lot of money for a downloadable title on something like an Intellivision. There's no market for it as of right now, and if you're trying to create a market, that's a really high price point to start at. I would almost say they should say $1 to $8 because that would make it more of a mobile phone market, and people, the casual audience, would be more willing to spend $1 on these titles. But going up to $3, up to $8 for downloadable titles on a console that's going to be costing you $150 to $180 on top of that plus tax, it just seems like a lot of money. The main thing I want to focus on is how they're talking about this system will do 2D work that the PS4 and Xbox One, or as they say in their bullet point, the PS5 won't be able to achieve. That's kind of big words because first off, the PS5 hasn't even been announced yet. We don't know the architecture of the system yet, and they're already saying it's going to do it better than that, which you can't do that. You can't make a claim about something that doesn't even exist yet and say this does it better than that thing that doesn't even exist yet, because we don't even know what the system architecture of the PS5 is. Sure, it might be 3D render based, but you don't know if Sony's going to do something with a 2D architecture in the back work of the PS5 to see if it could make something of this because the world's trending towards retro right now. We don't know anything about that, so to make that claim, that's a very shady area to go in. Very gray. I would not have done that if I was the marketing team. As far as the ratings are concerned for this, keeping the previously announced 7 out of 10 plus requirements, who's going to be doing the ratings? And if it's going to be the Intellivision company, which is what it sounds like reading through this, I could see a little bit of bias showing up there if they want to make sure these games get pushed out. If they're struggling a little bit, sure, give it a 7 out of 10. Close enough to being good. You know, that doesn't really mean anything. So to say that they're only going to be putting quality games out there, it kind of harkens back to the Nintendo seal of quality on the games that they were releasing on the NES, where there were some pretty crappy LJN games that showed up with that Nintendo seal of quality. So saying that games are guaranteed quality doesn't mean anything if you're the ones rating them. No ports available is something that's really crazy to me because that could open up the gates to a lot of other games coming to this console and giving it some potential for success, but by saying it's only going to have original titles only, it really limits the audience to people who are extremely niche wanting these games from Intellivision and completely cancels out the casual broad audience that you say you're going for in the first place. And the remakes of classic games that will have updated graphics, audio, added levels, local and multiplayer and more, that's great, but it also says there will be no downloadable content on these games. That is really not something I'd want to tell people because there are some games that I actually want DLC for. If there's a game that's really fun and I want to play more of it and have added levels in addition to what come with it, DLC is not always a bad thing if done right. So at the end of the day, it feels like all these bullet points are just kind of quick notes that they're trying to go off trendy topics that people are saying what they actually want compared to what the reality actually is. Yes, people don't like microtransactions. Yes, people don't think DLC is always necessary. Yeah, they want some inexpensive downloadable games. But I can't help but thinking that this game system and all the games going on it would be better served as a platform to use on the PS4, on the Xbox One, on the Nintendo Switch, where you can get these games on those consoles that people already have and are already in their houses hooked up. Buying an entirely new console just to play a few original games for the price point is crazy to me. Now, there will be some people out there saying, hey, if you don't like it, don't buy it. Yeah, but that's my concern with this whole situation. Nobody's going to buy it because nobody's going to want this in their lives. I like the idea of this, but it just doesn't make sense when you play it out. If you need a specific controller to allow you to play these Intellivision games the way they were meant to be played, but then you say you can actually use your phone as a controller, why wouldn't you just allow people to do that like the Jackbox Party Pack games allow you to use your phone to play those games on the actual consoles that are available right now? Having your own unique console to make these games at that price point ultimately just doesn't make any sense to me. And that's my honest take to this. Again, I hope it's successful for the world of video games in general, but ultimately, I see this falling flat on its face. Let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this Intellivision Amico. Do you feel like it's going to be successful or not? Do you think you're going to buy it? Do you feel like it's way overpriced? Do you think I'm ridiculous with my complaints about it? Let me know and let's have a conversation about this down there, and I'll see you guys in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good one.